So, 3 in a row. And I'm finishing off with one of the most controversial movies of all time. This movie is controversial to the point that almost 40 years after it was made, it is still cut by the BBFC. This film is still considered potentially obscene in its uncut form in the UK. Which is ridiculous, of course, but it still stands as a point. I am, of course, talking about the immensely shocking 1978 rape and revenge thriller I Spit on Your Grave. So the movie was directed by Miyazaki and it stars Camille Keaton. It was originally known under the title Day of the Woman, and at various points up to 1980 it was known as I Hate Your Guts and The Rape and Revenge of Jennifer Hills, but it was retitled I Spit on Your Grave, and that's the title that's stuck over the years. So with this sequel to the film, I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, having been completed, apparently it's in post-production, so we should be seeing that sometime next year, I'd imagine. I thought I'd revisit and have a look at the original 1978 movie and what is just considered to this day so shocking about the film, and to kind of put my opinions out there on it. So essentially the film follows Jennifer Hills, a writer from New York City who is renting a cabin out in the country where she can write her first novel. It's very secluded out in this little country area. A group of the local men take notice to her and are initially quite friendly, although some harassment eventually escalates to a full-blown, very protracted series of gang rapes. She is raped first by the lake, and then again she is gang raped in the forest. Then when she makes it back to the home she's renting, she is attacked again in her own home by the gang of men. I really can't do justice to just how brutal this sequence of events is. The rape is protracted, doesn't pull any punches at all. It is a full-on, graphic, in-your-face, deeply unsettling rape sequence. Following her ordeal, Jennifer heals physically and mentally reaches a level of strength that most would consider unimaginable. She sets about apprehending and killing her assailants one by one. So I mean, the reason the film's controversial is purely because of just how protracted the rape scene is. And a lot of people kind of still think of this as a movie that kind of endorses rape, which is ridiculous when you think about it. You know, if there's one thing that you should take away from this movie, it's that rape is not a good thing. You know, you look at the effect that it has on this woman physically and psychologically, you know, and the fact that it kind of draws her to this level of violence in retaliation. Like I say, I will not have it said about I Spit on Your Grave that this is a pro-rape film. It is very much an anti-rape film. You know, some people go as far as to call it a feminist film, which I kind of agree with. It is. It's a film that kind of says men are fucking scumbags. You know, it's an apology for the way that men treat women. And you know, in 2016, this movie still feels relevant because of that. You know, it's a movie that kind of, you know, spends a lot of its time with the assailants kind of trying to justify what they did to themselves and to Jennifer, which is kind of something that, like I say, is still relevant even now. You know, with a subject matter as kind of brutal as this, I do think it's important that the movie pulls no punches, and it does just that. You know, you watch this film in its uncut form, it is a savage sequence of events that really doesn't let up when the whole rape thing is going on. I mean, this movie gets compared a lot to Last House on the Left, and you know, while on the surface it does have quite similar content, I feel like the themes that the movies are covering are very different. Last House on the Left really looks at the theme of kind of the futility of revenge and the futility of violence, and kind of the idea that it will never be enough, you know. It's what I take from The Last House on the Left. This movie is looking at the theme of poisonous masculinity, if you will, and the idea that kind of this whole bravado of men, particularly of certain social backgrounds, can lead to terrible consequences for women and for men as well, by and large. So like I say, on an ideological level, the film is very interesting. It's a film that doesn't get anywhere near the level of credit it deserves for just how interesting it is. It's another one of those cases where the extremeness of what you witness just totally puts most people off. And I can kind of understand why, because like I say, it is an extreme movie, which isn't helped by the fact that it's incredibly rough around the edges. It really is. This is a profoundly low budget grindhouse movie, essentially. I mean, on a production values level, I mean, the acting's pretty good, and most of the special effects, admittedly, they're fairly limited. You know, there's only a couple, and they're okay, not the worst, you know. But I mean, the movie kind of, it doesn't rely on that sort of thing to disturb you. It's a very intense experience, you know, and in the sense of kind of getting to you on a sort of mental level, you know, you really feel that you've kind of leveled with this character, I guess, you know. She's quite friendly to the guys who end up attacking her, and on their own they're all quite friendly to her. It's once they get into this sort of pack mentality that problems start happening. You know, you very much see the movie from her point of view. When she first arrives at the lake, she sort of gleefully strips off and takes a skinny dip. You know, there's this kind of almost naivety about her. Even though you're aware that she's, you know, an experienced professional woman, she's a creative woman, clearly, there's still there's a sense that a certain innocence is lost through her attack, and she's trying to not even really regain that in her revenge. You know, the whole point of the revenge is just to kind of prove a point that you did this to me and you will pay with your life. You know, that's the whole, you know, what is at the core of her motivation. It's not about proving a point or making them suffer. It's, you know, you did this, you know, I will do to you what you did to me, in a way. I'm aware I've kind of gotten into an analysis rather than a review here, and I'm sorry about that, but this is a deeply interesting film to me. And I've got to say that the film has a bit of a pacing problem as well. I do feel like this movie could have been cut down by, you know, 5 or 10 minutes, and would greatly benefit from that. I do feel like there's a fair bit of padding in the movie. Other than that, though, I really recommend I Spit on Your Grave, but make sure you're in the right mental place to watch this movie, because this is one of the most aggressive and candid depictions of rape you will ever see in a movie. Overall, I'm going to give I Spit on Your Grave an 8 out of 10. I feel like this is a bit of a forgotten moment of importance, a real watershed moment in horror, and a deeply influential film. I would highly recommend that, provided you are mentally fit to watch the film, you check it out, because as brutal as it is, it's a film that has got a lot to say about the world, and has a lot to say about men and the relationship between men and women. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this review / analysis of I Spit on Your Grave. I hope that it's convinced you to subscribe and leave a like and comment. I'd really love for you to do that. I'd also love for you to go down into the description, follow the link to check out my podcast. It's called Ironcast. It's all about music. It's fantastic. It's my pride and joy. It's my primary focus. The channel's secondary, pretty much, but I love doing this as well, don't get me wrong. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'll see you real soon.